Hey everyone, in this video we are going to be starting to learn to how to make a website. So it's going to be a series where we will be learning three languages. So yeah, so you only need three languages to make a website. The first one is HTML. So HTML is the main language that we use, and it's basically used to specify the elements that your website is going to have. So HTML allows us to specify the title of our website, to specify like images in our website, paragraphs, inputs, and headings, and so much more. You can create certain blocks with HTML. You can basically have a layout using HTML. Now, the second thing that's used to create this website is called CSS. Now, the thing is that HTML only allows you to have a schema basically. A schema means that you'll have a structure, but in order to stylize that structure, so let's suppose that we're going to make a building, like a house basically. So HTML allows us to create the walls and the terrace and the doors. But in order for our house to look pretty and for it to look good, we need to paint the house. We need to, add some styling to the house, and that's what CSS handles. So HTML is the structure, CSS is for styling. Now, how do we add functionality to the house? So, for example, we created the doors, but they're not opening. In a house, we added the doors using HTML, but they're not able to open. The functionality is not there. So, and something else can be you have your fridge, but it's not running. You have a TV, but it's not running. I know these are like weird examples, but in order for your house to function, it needs another language called JavaScript. JavaScript basically adds functionality to your website. So let's just conclude once and for all. HTML allows you to have the schema. So let me just open. So this is also made using HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. What you're seeing on your screen is called VS Code. And what VS Code is, it basically allows you to work on projects. And if you don't have it installed, I would recommend it full highly that if you're interested in programming, you should have this installed. And what this allows you to do is open a folder and edit various files at once. So if you have watched my previous videos, we were editing directly in uh, the terminal where we were using Vim. Vim only allows us to open a single file, but VS Code has so many features that are really good for web development, like this Go Live feature, which we'll talk about later. So this VS Code is also built using HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. So when you first open VS Code, it might look like this, and whatever you see right now, all of these buttons, these are made using HTML. You see them laid out here. These were entered using HTML. Now if we hover on the button, you see that the color changes, right? And the background color is black, this is purple, and if I open this, this color is gray. This is added using CSS. Now if I wanted functionality, so if I click on this button and this whole menu appears, this is done through JavaScript. So if I click on search, this whole tab opens. This is done through JavaScript. If I write something in this search bar, and it will search across our files, that will be done through JavaScript. So I hope that's clear. and this is actually made using JavaScript only. So yeah, good motivation that you can also make your own editor if you learn JavaScript, HTML, and CSS. And the thing is, CSS, it's much more universal. If you learn it once, even if there are like multiple types of CSS and styling languages, the basic fundamentals that you learn by learning CSS will be the same. And as for HTML, HTML is not going anywhere. HTML has been around for years and it will be for years. And it is even in some advanced technologies, we still use HTML as the base because that's what browsers support. Uh, yeah, so this is how it's going to be. Now, how do we create a website? So let's just first open a folder. It shows us to open a folder here. So I'll just create a folder. Let's call it website, and I'll open it. Now when it's opened, it allows us to create a new file. So we will create a new file. It will be an HTML file, which means it will end with .html, and we'll also have to give it a name. Now the thing is, there is a convention for browsers. So for a browser to know the main HTML file, so the thing is, when it will go to your folder, it will be like, what am I supposed to look for? It will look for the HTML file, but which one? Because big projects can have multiple HTML files. So it will look for the one that has the name called index, and this will be our starting point. And this file will have anything that like from where we begin. Okay, now let's start with HTML. In this video we'll extensively learn about HTML only. Just give me a moment. Okay, yeah, so how do we start with HTML? Now in HTML everything is covered in tags. And what are tags? Sorry for the background noise. So what are tags? So tags are basically like these. So if I have an HTML tag, these are tags. Why do we call them tags? I don't know why. They're just called tags. So something that's starting with a greater than sign and ending with a less than sign, or the opposite. Something that starts with a less than sign and ends with a greater than sign, it's called a tag. Now in HTML there are two types of tags. One is like we'll have to close it, and one is self-closing. So the one we have to close are like this HTML. So here we have to create two tags. One is this one, which doesn't have anything. It just has these less than sign and greater than sign and the name of the tag. And there is another tag that basically specified where the body of this tag will end, and it is specified by this slash. You just add a slash inside in front of the name of the tag, and it acts as a closing tag. And the one which doesn't have the slash, it's the opening tag. Okay, so in our HTML file, everything is inside the HTML tag. Okay, now what about self-closing tag? We talked about self-closing tag, right? So if we have something like this and we have the name, what will we name it? Just call it name, because it's not a valid tag, but I'm just taking it as an example. We don't use this name actually in anywhere, but it's just an example for now. And if it doesn't have any closing tag, it will have a slash after the name. No need to add space here. You can or you cannot, it doesn't matter. And also about this, yeah, tell you later. But basically the tags where you don't have to close them like this. Here you had two tags for the same thing. Why? Because things went inside the tag. But here you don't have two tags. You have basically one, because they don't take any children. Children in the sense that HTML is taking name as a children, because name is inside HTML. Why is it inside HTML? Because HTML starts here and ends here. Whatever is in between this, all of these things, these are the children. So if I enter anything here or here or here or here, all of these things are the children of HTML. Got it? Yeah. So HTML is a closing, it's not a self-closing tag, we'll have to close it. Now the next thing I was going to tell you is the case doesn't matter. So even if you write all caps, right, it's still the same thing. It still works. But it's a programming convention, like we specified index.html, right? Although naming it something else will also work, naming our files will something else will also work, but you don't want to, because there's a reason things are this way. Rules, that's what separates us from the animals. Yeah, so that is why we have small names for tags everywhere. So just try to use small cases as much as you can. So even in like languages like Python, in Python it matters for you to have a small case, but here it doesn't matter. But still, I'd recommend you to use small only. Okay, so now that we know everything goes inside HTML, and also space doesn't matter. You can have it like this, you can have it here, or you can have it like here, it will still be the same. Doesn't matter at all. So even this will work. Yeah, even if you wanted, you could write your whole page in a single line, it would still work. Yeah, so everything comes inside HTML tag. Now a website has two things. It has a title of the website. So if I open Safari here, and if I open Google, so Google has its, this is the title, which is not visible right now, but if you see here, this is the title of the website, and this is the body. All of the things that you see, these are the this is the body. So if we wanted to specify this, first we'll have to divide our HTML file into two things. Firstly, it's the whole upper section, which is called the head. So a head. And by the way, I'm using VS Code. There's an extension, I think, for HTML, which basically has this automatically closing tags. I don't know the extension. So yeah, in VS Code you can add multiple extensions which basically help you code much better, and they automatically do the things for you. So this head is basically the top section of your website, and this bottom section is the body. So head we created, now body will create. So first thing, HTML, inside it there will be two things, a head and body. These are separate. Keep in mind that nothing is inside of, like these, head doesn't have body inside of it. These are completely separate. Now the thing is, in the head only we'll specify the title. Now you'd be like, why not just specify the title directly? Why are we specifying it in the head? And the reason of that being that it's not just title that you specify, right? It's also the icon. So if you see here, you can see the Google icon, right? In the future we'll add an icon to our website, so that's also you specify in the head, and that's why we need a parent tag which includes both of these things. And in the future we'll add CSS to our website, that also you specify in the head only. So that I'll tell in the future, but for now, this is the way things are. Because head can have multiple things, but title can have only one thing, and that's the name of the website. So I'll just name it website. Okay. Now, in order to run this website, there are two ways. So first is, if you upload it on the internet, you have a server. The server is basically a computer on the internet which is connected to the internet. Your laptop is also connected to the internet, right? But it's not up, but it's not running 24 by 7. So a computer which is basically connected to the internet at all times is called a server, and people can make requests to it and ask for our website. So if we upload our website to a server, it will allow people to open it like we open Google. But since we do not have a server right now, what we'll do is we'll use this go live feature. What this allows us is, it allows us to run this website in our local machine. What that means is, it basically makes our laptop or computer act as a server, as a local server, so that we can open our website here only. We won't be able to open it in some other another like computer, but for development purposes we would be able to open it here. Or even if you don't have this go live, or if you are not using VS Code, that's completely fine. You just create a file, index.html, and then just add all of these things in your file, and then just open it using your Chrome browser. So if I just if you so but if you have VS Code, you can just use this go live feature. Now if this is not present in your VS Code, you can just search it in the extension. So yeah, as you might have guessed, everything is done through extensions in VS Code. So yeah, if you search live server, I have it installed. Yeah, you might need to install it. So just click on go live. What it will do is, it will create a server, and you can open this using this URL. It's opening in Chrome, but I want to open it in Safari. So yeah, so it opened it, right? And as you can see, our name of the website is website. And now if I the cool thing about this is that if I change here, right, if I call it website 1 and save it, it instantly changes. That's the best part about live server. Now if we add anything inside the body, it will be printed out. So hello. So if I open the website now, here you can see hello is printed out. I'll just zoom it a bit. Yeah, so hello is printed out. So that's how you make the structure of your website. Now let's get into different things about HTML only. So in HTML there are multiple types of tags. So new tags are being added every year. But we'll start from the basics, that the ones which are like really important. So one thing I'd recommend you is right click on your website and go to inspect element. What this allows you to do is, whichever HTML code that you wrote, it allows you to view it. And this is like, you only wrote HTML tag, the head tag, the title, and then the body, whatever you wrote, and then this is added by live server, and this script is also added by live server. We can ignore this. And something like this, a tag that has an exclamation mark and then two dashes, it's called a comment. What is a comment? Well, in every single language, when we are sharing our code, we want other people to know what we have written, and in order to explain that, we use comments. And how are comments written in HTML? So less than sign, exclamation mark, equal a dash, and then dash. It auto completed for me, but then you will have to add two more dashes and then a greater than sign. And comment is not considered uh, by your actual like file. So this won't be visible anywhere. It will just be in the code. So if I still run it, hello is still there, but it will be visible here because it's a code. the, it will only be inside our code. It won't affect our like actual website. So that's how you create comments in HTML. Now in HTML, let's talk about the various tags that we have. So I'm going to be calling them elements from now on. The thing is that, so title is actually an element. So this is a tag. This whole thing is a tag. But if we consider both of these things, this is called an element. So for example, head is an element, body is an element, a heading can be an element, an image or a paragraph, all of these things are elements. And the way we create them is using tags. So let's start with headings. So in HTML, we can define multiple types of headings according to their precedence, which basically means whichever is the biggest heading or whichever is the smallest. So there is a tag called h1. So you can even see in VS Code it shows us till h6. So h1 is the biggest heading. It is basically the name of the website. So let's call it name of website. And if we save it, and it shows us the heading. So heading is basically the heading of your website. And the reason we use it is so that um, we actually know that it's the heading. But if we directly put it, no one will know, like how will we know what it is? It's just the text. So this is why we use headings. And there are multiple more reasons that I won't get into, but it's just a good practice to use headings. Now about this size of the heading, this can be changed later on using CSS, but since it is the main heading, you would need to use h1. If you want to change the size, you use CSS, and the smaller heading, then this h2 would h1 would be h2, second head, so it will be a bit smaller, as you can see. Now h3 will be even smaller, third it will be even smaller, and then it goes up till h6. So we have h6, which is basically 6th. Yep. So yeah, this is the last heading, and you're supposed to use it like, for example, the name of your website will be h1, and your website can have multiple parts, those will be h2, and those parts can have sub parts, which will be h3. So you can use it like that. Now these are headings. Let's just add a comment that these are types of headings. Okay, and now we need to know about paragraphs. What are paragraphs? So basically, even in your notebooks, you write paragraphs, right? It's basically a block of text that is written in something like this, that is written in what did I write? Okay, so a block of text is a paragraph. You just in order to specify it to the computer that it's actually a paragraph, we used a p tag. Anything inside the p tag is called a paragraph. So this is a paragraph, and see, it has different styling than the heading. Heading is bold by default. It's actually the paragraph, it's not. Okay, now what if we wanted to this paragraph to be on the next line? So that's where we use a self-closing tag which is called BR. BR basically breaks the line. BR stands for break. So it will break the line here and paragraph will be on the next line. You can even see if you open P here, you can see the BR tag. Now you don't have to enter the slash, it will still work, but in some languages it's mandatory to add the slash. So I feel like it's your choice. If you're writing plain HTML, it works, but it's a good habit. Or if you're working with multiple languages, the slash will always work. Now what about other tags? So there is something called button. You all know button. So button is also you have to close it, and whatever you write inside the button, it will be present. So it will be present inside the button. So if I just write button here, the text is present inside this button. So I can click this. Now in order for something to happen when I click this button, we need to use JavaScript, because that's a functionality. Functionality is done through JavaScript. So now what we learned is styling is through CSS. If I wanted to make this background black, that is done through CSS. If I wanted for something to happen when I click this button, that is done through JavaScript. But if we just want something to be there, if you just want to add something, if you want to specify something, that's done through HTML. So that's all we have done. There are multiple tags. So I think you can have this website called this MDN, which is basically specifies the all of the types of elements, the HTML elements. So A is for links, then there are lists, unordered list, ordered list, and headings, image, frames, navs, and like there are so many of them, and there's like a good explanation for each of them on this website. I'll link it in the description. So I hope this helps, and other than that, I think this is pretty much clear. In this next video we'll learn about CSS and like how we can style it, and later we'll learn about JavaScript, how we can add the functionality. Now for this video I think this much would be sufficient. So yeah, that's it.